Hey everyone, and good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on our ongoing coverage with landfalling Hurricane Sally. I'm Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson. Sally, as you may know, made landfall just a little over an hour ago, just before 7 a.m. I'm sorry, just after 7 a.m. this morning. And as we take a look at what's going on here, you guys, there is plenty to see. The Gulf Coast region in particular, Pensacola, Florida, and Mobile Bay, Alabama, bearing the brunt of what Sally has to deliver this morning. And as you can see here from our live radar, they're still getting the eye wall there in Pensacola. So here's what's going on. So let me show you with our pointer what happened. So if you have not been up to date and don't know what happened, Sally continued to strengthen through the overnight. Now the eye right about here, and you can see that it's exposed on the south side, but we're still getting some really, really dangerous winds here. And if you're watching social media and you've been keeping an eye on this, you know that the damage video coming out of the Mobile Bay area near Orange Beach and over into Pensacola has been pretty startling. And it's only going to continue to be several hours of this onslaught of these 100-mile-per-hour winds. So again, the eye right about there, but these feeder bands that you see here are dumping a significant and life-threatening amount of rain. You have to remember, this area has been dealing with Sally for well over 24 hours. In fact, in some cases, 36 hours. And the rain totals are unbelievable. Pensacola, I'm going to show you a graphic here in just a second. Pensacola has got over 2 feet of rain so far, and Sally just made landfall and still moving only at about 3. So super slow movement means big time problems for this area. There was a flash flood warning emergency last night. Those are pretty rare. They issued it around 2 o'clock in the morning for that area of, again, Baldwin County, Pensacola area, because again, there was just so much rain coming down, and there's still a lot of rain. So I'm going to pull in here just a little bit, and we'll do a quick query here in some of these rain bands, and we'll see what we're getting. So the reflectivity showing just under an inch of rain right there, and then over near Pensacola about half of an inch. But remember, they've already got significant rains in this area, and more is headed their way. So, but due to the slow movement of Sally, again, it won't take much to really enhance a very dangerous situation already. So let's take a look at the wind speeds, because when I was doing a live update around midnight last night, the buoy that's just off the coast of Mobile Bay reported a wind gust of 100.1 miles an hour. Unbelievable. So now that wind gust is 51.8. That's the one that's at the bottom of your screen there. And then we've got a wind gust within this last hour in Mobile at 64.4. We know they easily got wind gusts over 100 miles an hour within this last hour to 90 minutes. And then over by the Biloxi area, we're looking at 32.2. And by the way, the mobile radar is down. So I'm going to show you another vantage point of the rain, but their radar site is down. We're using Eglins Air Force Base radar. And as you can see, the winds in Pensacola at last check were 82.9, 50.6 north of that, and then 23 and 36 back towards the east. But again, there has been a significant amount of rain and wind, and the storm surge is still coming, you guys. It's still moving in. So, I know the power's out. I just checked Alabama Power. There's over 150,000 people in the state of Alabama without power. So I know if you have family and friends here, you probably haven't been able to talk to them for a while. So that's not going to, of course, change, because the power will be off for days. I know it's really hard to get cell service there as well. But again, as we look at those winds, anywhere easily, we're talking about 82 in that last gust that's reported at 8:51 this morning. So still very dangerous. Crews cannot be out in this kind of weather, and it will be later this morning, much later, and maybe even this afternoon before crews can even officially assess some of the damage. And I'm sure 911 is in overdrive up there right now. Folks really get panicked, of course, when they see boats on roads and a storm surge. But unfortunately, folks that are there are going to have to just stay put until we get into a little. So you see there a little further along here. So you see there in those last couple of frames where we dropped the data, that's when Mobile went out this morning, but this is a compilation radar there. That was the jump I was talking about. So you still can see very clearly, though, those heavy bands that I'm concerned with that are potentially putting down, again, more life-threatening rain. So it's pretty much from Pensacola and extends all the way back towards Port St. Joe, back towards Mexico Beach even, you guys, the folks that I had to deal with Michael a couple years ago, not getting the winds. This is not a Michael scenario, but they are getting significant rain that's going to be producing several inches. So let me show you that graphic because I think I have. Oh, actually, you know what, Damien, let me show that video. I meant to show that a little earlier. So we have some video out of Little Lagoon. That's in Gulf Shores. Now, Gulf Shores technically got was the landfalling city from the National Hurricane Center. So take a look at the storm surge from earlier yesterday afternoon. And as far as the eye can see, once Damien pops that up, we'll see that there was the Gulf of Mexico all across. Thank you for letting me know, Damien. I've got a pretty big delay here, but there it is. Thank you. Now I see it. So as far as the eye can see, the Gulf of Mexico, with that storm surge, that was easily in the neighborhood of 5 feet. In fact, still, we're getting reports that the storm surge is still about 5 feet in this area of Alabama. And then we've also got some video that we can show you from Alabama. This is in southern Alabama on the west side of Mobile Bay. I can't remember the name. I believe it's Bayou Batra, Damien. It's the one with the casinos. So we can show you those as well. Now there was 2 large casino boats that were moored right in the bay there. And of course, the winds started whipping up pretty significantly yesterday. And those 2 giant casino boats broke loose. Now they've been stuck along this area in Bayou Batra since yesterday. Thankfully, no one was aboard. Of course, the casinos. Everyone been told to evacuate. That's actually in the marina. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. I don't know if you had it up the whole time, Damien, because I've got about a 10-second delay. But those are the casino boats, and you'll see the casino boat, the second one behind them there. It's not a great vantage point but at the end of the video there, you see the second boat. So again, that's just some of the video that's coming in. And then if you can go back to that marina video, the Romar Marina, Damien, we'll show that as well. The storm surge there, that was around 4 o'clock yesterday, and that was also showing a storm surge around 3 to 4 feet. So, it's been significant with this wall of water. Again, I always explain it like when the water and land become one. That's really the best way to describe it because that's really what's been going on. So that has been ongoing, the storm surge, for at least 18 hours, and it will continue today as well. Very dangerous and tentative situation there as we continue to monitor what Sally is doing. Again, last night, we did an update around 3 o'clock this morning, or I should say this morning we did an update around 3, and it was incredible to see that the core structure of that eye wall continued to strengthen a bit. So thankfully it didn't get stronger than a Category 2, came in as a Cat 2, but unbelievable that those last few hours that Sally managed to rally and get a little stronger. So now I'm on velocity mode. We can go back to WSI. And a couple of things that that we're anticipating today. We've already seen several tornado warnings in this area. We'll continue to see those as we head through this morning. A tornado watch up for this area, flash flood watch. Again, that flash flood warning, again, pretty rare to be issued from the National Weather Service, issued earlier this morning because of those significant rains. I'm trying to get this zoomed in a little tighter here. Hang on one second. So we can already see that on our software, we're picking up some rotation. And anytime we get a landfalling hurricane, rotation, tornado warnings are pretty common. So I'm going to put the gate to gate here. Now that's not saying anything what I thought it was going to say. So I know that that the winds here are in the neighborhood of 80 to 90 miles an hour. And so our software is picking up some rotation. Usually the gate to gate or the rotational velocity will show somewhere in the neighborhood of minimally about 50 miles an hour. So that's when you add the 2 numbers together and you divide by 2 to get the rotational velocity. I'm not seeing that there, but I know that for a fact, because I just checked, that the winds in this area have been around 80 miles an hour. We showed you that wind gauge. So there's definitely still pretty dangerous conditions here. I don't actually, let me clear this off. I don't actually see a couplet. I'm going to get all those off. I don't actually see a couplet here But what we would see is the green inside the red. And let's go back down and go back towards the west a little bit, back towards Mobile Bay, see what we've got over here. Now that radar site, as I mentioned, is down. So I may not get any data here as we scoot through Pensacola. Yeah, we're not going to get any data. So let me go back where I have data. And that's back towards the Florida Panhandle. Again, let me zoom out just a skosh. I do anticipate to see the possibility of some short-lived tornadoes. And I've seen some damage video on social media that looks like we may have had some confirmed touchdowns. That's not from the storm surge or the wind. So that'll all be assessed later today. Now we're on Tallahassee's radar site, by the way. That'll all be assessed later today when it's safe to get out and about and the crews can take a look. So unfortunately, Mobile lost their radar a couple of hours ago. Several tornado warnings. You can see those there just south of Mariana. In fact, let me turn that off real quick and we can see what tornado warnings we have. So we've got one over Bluntstown and one north of that. Those two red boxes are tornado warnings. And let me pull out just a bit so we can take another quick look and see if we see any other tornado warnings. Currently, no, that looks like that's the brunt of the two tornado warnings there. And again, because the thunderstorms themselves that are in the Gulf of Mexico are rotating, once they rotate on land, that creates friction and that can create some directional wind direction shifts, and that can create tornadoes. So when we get rotation, but a lot of times it's just the fact that these rotating thunderstorms come on land and they're already moving, and sometimes the radar gets confused, if you will, but sometimes they're the real deal. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, the radar site down, but Tallahassee is not, so I'm not sure where that's not showing data. So let me go to the rain, because this is the other, and I think the predominantly longer lasting headline that's going to come out of this storm. So as of this morning, within this last hour, Pensacola Naval Air Station has got over 24.8 inches of rain, and that's officially from the Mobile Weather Office. So that is a legit number, you guys. They have already received 2 feet of rain, and it just came on shore. Now, the other two numbers that I have there, those are from around 2 o'clock this morning. Now I know those are not accurate. So I know that there's been more rain than 6 inches in Destin and more than 7 inches in Panama City, but I couldn't couldn't verify the numbers before we did this live stream. So I know those are higher, but take a look at this. So I'm going to take our query and take a look at some of these numbers. So the gray area there is where there is significant rain anticipated. So look at that, 22.7. Now that's in the Gulf, but remember, Sally is moving north. So some of these pockets in these last 24 hours have racked up, again, 2 feet, and it verifies. We know officially Pensacola got 24.8. And then some of these blues, again, are pretty significant as well. So 9 inches or so at the official, well, again, I'm kind of just randomly touching this, but we know at the air station they had over 2 feet. But some of these numbers are unbelievable. So I really think this is going to turn out, I talked about this last night, that this might turn out to be one of the top 5, maybe even top 1, 1 or 2 rain events in this region of the northern Gulf Coast states in southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. And we'll see, unfortunately, there's such a dangerous situation ongoing here. So those numbers, again, for our accumulated radar totals from the last 24 hours. But I show you this because, again, everything that is over the northern Gulf of Mexico right now is headed into Alabama and into Florida, and eventually over into Georgia and the Carolinas. It's going to be a lot weaker system by the time it gets over there, but it is really sobering to see that kind of number, those kind of numbers that are potentially going to be impacting that region. Okay, so here's our infrared, and again, around midnight or so, we started to see Sally rally again and get that eye wall start to get more concentric. We talked about it when we were live last night around midnight, that we started to see some of the banding features, at least through the half semicircle of the eye wall itself. And on presentation on satellite, of course, it didn't look as good, but it still looks good, you guys. This still looks relatively well organized to me. So we're still going to be talking about those winds, those core winds around 100 miles an hour at least for maybe another hour or so. Oh, here's the actually official update from the Hurricane Center from 9 o'clock. Whoops, let me go back to that. From 9 o'clock this morning. So the wind's down to 90. So that is, of course, welcome news. I gotta hang on one second. There we go. So the wind's currently at 90 miles an hour, and I apologize, my computer is, there it goes. So winds now sustained at 90 miles an hour, movement north-northeast at 3, and the pressure up a bit at 970. It was in the 960s earlier, right at landfall. So it's 20 miles north-northeast of Gulf Shores, again, where landfall was. And you can see the coordinates there. And now I'll scrub this back to the path. And by the way, the other thing that was pretty unprecedented, this morning around 3 o'clock, the National Hurricane Center had to issue a new intensity forecast. So the path had to be changed because Sally made that rally the last couple of hours before landfall. And so they had to change their intensity impacts around 3 o'clock this morning. So we got that into the app and updated on our social media pages. But take a look. So at least by 2 p.m. today, we're expecting the winds to still be a Category 1 at 80 miles an hour. And then after that, the rapid decrease in strength should start to take place. So by 2 a.m. Thursday morning, winds 40. And again, that will be in south and south central Alabama and Florida, again, bearing the worst of what Sally will deliver with this landfall. And then as we get into Friday and even into Saturday, the Carolinas, mid-Atlantic region is going to get a much lesser form, but still going to have winds 25, 30 miles an hour. And by the way, I mentioned this also last night. Some of the longer range models think some of the energy left over from Sally as it moves back into the mid-Atlantic might try to reorganize. So we'll have to see if that plays out. But again, it's the season that won't end, you guys. We'll see if that happens, but it's certainly a possibility that we could be talking about another form of Sally reorganizing. But let's get through these next couple of days and see what happens. For now, we've got enough on our plates. So here's a look at the warnings again from the Hurricane Center, and those will stay up through this morning. Those are likely not to change. Hurricane warnings in red, tropical storm warnings in the purple. And as we look at those last 24 hours to 48 hours, watch how Sally slows down as it approaches the northern Gulf Coast. It's almost like it completely stalled. It was officially moving at 2, but it just super sluggish and slowed down, and that allowed it to get stronger. Now, the Hurricane Center was thinking that the upwelling from the Gulf of Mexico, that's where the hurricane actually pulls some cooler temperatures from the deeper parts of the Gulf and pulls it into the core of the storm. The Hurricane Center had talked about that they were not that concerned about another big burst of intensity because of the upwelling, but nonetheless, Sally, for intents and purposes, intensified and somewhat rapidly intensified, over those last 6 to 10 hours before landfall. And there you can see, again, the banding features on the north and the east side, much more well organized on the north and east side, but still getting some serious impacts on the west side of the eye wall as well. But those heavy flash flooding rains are predominantly on the north and the northwest side. So here's a look at the rain total predictions from the Weather Prediction Center for the next 3 days. So 12 to 15, this is 100% spot on. I've been using this product. We've been using this. Stephanie Lauber was using this weekend as well. This has been spot on. We know that we've already seen 2 feet in Pensacola, and when you cumulatively add it up over the next couple of days, 12 to 15 may even be conservative. We could even be talking about more rain than what you see estimated here. Could be up to upwards of 20 inches in some other areas that then has already been reported. 5 to 7 in that area that's shaded in the orange and a little bit of the reds. And then as you get back towards South Carolina, North Carolina, of course, it decreases to 3 to 5. So that won't be life-threatening. The life-threatening and historic flooding will be the in and smack dab in southern Alabama and into that Florida Panhandle, Florida, Alabama border. And a little bit of a southeast area. If you track hurricanes, you know that, again, tornado watches and the risk for tornadoes is pretty significant when we have a landfalling storm. Of course, our biggest threat will be those winds for now in these short term in these next few hours, and then these isolated spin-ups as I mentioned, are also a possibility. So here's a look at our high resolution rain forecast, if you will, storm forecast, and overlaid on the radar, on the imagery there, is the official path from the Hurricane Center. So you can see that our product did a really good job following the official path from the Hurricane Center. So as that pulls out in time and goes into tomorrow, you can see those heavy bands still holding together. That's why Atlanta is getting expected to get about 3.5 inches of okay, so I'm just getting an update from Damien that our system crashed. So I apologize. And now I understand why, because I saw another tweet and I couldn't figure out why. So